I would like to take a second right here to talk about the social media. I link in the description on a regular basis every time I upload a video, as a matter of fact. If you're not following it / liking it, more than likely you have the new YouTube changes by now, and it's really easy to miss a video as a direct result because you got to click my subscriptions and then you got to click uploads only, and then when you refresh on YouTube, it resets the whole thing. It doesn't give you an option of default. So how is one to know when I have new videos? The answer is you can follow my Twitter and it automatically makes a tweet whenever I have uploaded something, or you can like my Facebook and you actually end up getting the video, I kind of want to say like 85 to 90% of the time, about an hour in advance before everyone else does. So you got some incentives right there, and you got a way to make sure that you always have content going on for me and you don't miss a second of it, because the new layout is dicks and I don't care how much bitching is already going on. I gotta get my 2 cents in on it. But I got a UU match to close off the week against a guy by the name of Weavile or something, and his name actually is Weavile or something. I'm not trying to like figure out whether or not his name is Weavile. But first turn of the game, I do lead off with my Scarf Modem. Gonna go for the Volt Switch, get some damage off, and decide to Volt Switch into my Victini to take the predicted Dynamic Punch. Could have been a little risky if he wanted to end up going for the Stone Edge there, but he doesn't want to overpredict on the first turn, and that's what I'm counting on, so it kind of works out. But Dusclops gonna come in now. I believe I don't hit myself in Confusion on this turn, but I go for a Psychic because I am a specially offensive Victini, and it actually does a pretty considerable chunk to an Eviolite 1. On top of that, I get the Spec D drop, so I believe I end up going for a Blue Flare right here. He ends up predicting it very nicely, and I was like, you know what? Because the freaking special defense drop is there, and it's got the beefed up attack and everything, it might take it out. I don't know. And it just turns out that it does like half to this Kingdra with a crit, which is actually kind of impressive given the fact that it does have a quad resistance. Blue Flare and Glaciate and Bolt Strike and V-Create are all on the new event Victini, which just made Victini a hell of a lot better. It's not going to push it tears or anything like that, but it definitely does pack a little bit harder of a punch. Still gets walled by the same old shit, though. So, gonna go into my Umbreon right here to attempt to try to stall out some turns of rain, and it turns out he gets a crit on the Hydro Pump. And now I am especially defensive Umbreon, so I don't really know how much this mattered. I kind of want to say it didn't. I kind of want to say it did at the same time. More than likely, just at the end of the day, it didn't. It didn't fucking matter. I just really wanted Umbreon near the end of the game because it would have helped out. But decided to go into my Empoleon right here, as I probably should have, but I thought Umbreon would honestly be able to take a Hydro Pump better, despite the lack of resistance, just because of its special defensive investment. So right here, I finally go into Kingdra. I think he ends up making some kind of funky prediction and thinks that I'm going to double out into something else, and he ends up going for the Draco Meteor instead. Doesn't really end up doing too much, but I take it out with a nice beam, and I don't want this thing setting up a Sub or a Swords Dance, so I leave it in as Death Fodder, which is kind of silly, but a Weavile with a Swords Dance will more than likely end up sweeping my team. I mean, I can force it out with Hitmonchan, but it's really fucking obvious. I probably should have double switched here, because the switch to Dusclops was like, oh man, I should have seen that coming a mile away. But the Mach Punch happens, or it tries to happen, it just doesn't end up happening. But I get to go out into my my Scarf Rotom here because I do kind of want to trick it away, but maybe that might be a little too obvious because I led with it that I'm probably going to end up being choiced. But he ends up going out into his Roserade, I believe, to take the Volt Switch or the trick. Scarf Roserade ain't too shabby. I don't see it too often. I've actually only fought like less than 5, but it's a poke that nobody really expects to be Scarf. It's got a decent amount of speed, so yeah, that's kind of worth mentioning, even though it didn't happen. So Volt Switch out into my Victini. Now, it's really tempting to go for the Blue Flare here. I think I do end up going for it, or maybe I just end up going for the Psychic. I probably should have gone for the Blue Flare now that Kingdra's gone, because now that I go for the Psychic and the freaking Meloetta is here, it takes the Psychic really, really, really well. I'm guessing this is a bulkier variant, and it actually does end up getting confirmed on this next turn, as I miss a Blue Flare, and he ends up going for the Calm Mind, and I'm just like, well, that kind of sucks, to be completely honest. So what I probably should have done here is I should have directly switched into Honchkrow. I was kind of scared of taking a T-Bolt on the switch, but, you know, maybe he could have just taken me out with a Psychic. I really wanted to safe switch into Honchkrow at the time, because that is definitely something that could have forced it out, because you know, it fucking Sucker Punch and whatnot. The one thing I was scared about was him being sub Calm Mind and then being able to hit me from behind a sub and take me out with a T-Bolt, because I do know that this thing happens to get T-Bolt. It kind of operates similarly to Gardevoir, but not really in a sense. because I think it's a little, I don't know, kind of similar to Gardevoir, I guess is a worthy mention there. But triggered a Choice Scarf, and that might seem like a bad idea, and you know what, it probably was. I just wanted to make sure that he was going to end up going for Psychic regardless. So now that I've tricked him the Choice Scarf, I should have gone out into Honchkrow here, so I make a little bit of a silly play by deciding to leave it in. I definitely could have used this thing later against Roserade because I am naturally going to end up being faster than it owing to the build that he is. He is not running max speed, but we kind of learned that a little later. So he's going to end up switching out of here, realizing that I can just fucking do whatever I want in his face. I decide to go for a sub because a Honchkrow behind a sub is a happy Honchkrow. However, I am not happy with this matchup against Dusclops. This is going to get real fucking stally right here because he's going to try to stall out some Sucker Punches, goes for rests and whatnot. I'm just going for Brave Birds and trying to take him out because Sucker Punch don't work on Sleep Talk. But as you can see, he's got Rest, Sleep Talk, Will-O-Wisp, and I believe Seismic Toss. So that's the fourth move. I'm still not too scared of it entirely, though, because I'm going to go for another sub. He's going to wake up and rest. Repeat it again. I can count on Sleep Talk's failure eventually, and I can still get Lefty's recovery from behind my sub. The problem is I'm still taking a steady amount of recoil. So, as you can see, he Sleep Talks. He gets rest. As long as he doesn't get Seismic Toss, I'm actually going to be good to go. He ends up misclicking on that turn. To be honest, he had a 66% chance of failure with the Sleep Talk anyway. Get some high damage rolls on this next one, so it's not as stally as it could have been, but Honchkrow gets the Moxie boost, and we're looking pretty good. I think he ends up going into his Machamp next. I was like, okay, he's going to end up going for the Bullet Punch to end up breaking it. It turns out that he's just slower outright, and I guess maybe wants to get some more damage off on this thing, or maybe just completely misplayed entirely. I don't know. But that's a lot of recoil damage I end up taking, probably to the point where I'm maybe not. I was curious as to whether or not I'd be able to make a sub after this. I think I'm still going to be able to get away with a sub there. No. Now I can make a sub for sure. But Weavile going to come in, Weavile going to rain on my parade with an Ice Shard. That will definitely take out my sub. And the one thing I really wanted for the rest of this matchup was to have a sub up against Roserade, because if I Sucker Punch and he has Sleep Powder, then that's fucking game over from here. But I end up going for a Superpower because I actually do not want to take any Brave Bird recoil. I want to be able to make a sub if and whenever possible. But he's still got Meloetta and I believe Roserade left. And Honchkrow's looking pretty good at like +3 or some shit like that. I do have the lower defense, but I think I just got rid of his last physical attacker, so it should be all good. But here's that matchup that I was dreading. I did not know what kind of Roserade this was, which is why I did not Sucker Punch on this turn, and I choose to instead go into my Hitmonchan, potentially Sleep Fodder, and he just ends up going for a Sludge Bomb outright. So I actually don't know whether or not he ended up being, you know, max speed or anything like that. But he's going to go into his Meloetta right now, which is going to take an Ice Punch and then a neutral Mach Punch, which is very nice because it is normal Psychic as opposed to just plain fucking Psychic. I'm pretty sure it would have taken out even if it was just plain Psychic from that range, but not a big threat to me anymore. I am taking a little bit of life for recoil, and now he finally goes into his last one again, which is Roserade. Now, I did not know this thing's speed, but I'm pretty sure I would have ended up being slower than it anyway, and it turns out that if I was paying attention on this last turn right here, we're getting close to the end of the game, but that Mach Punch did not do as much as I was expecting it to. On top of that, he has Black Sludge, so that should have been a red flag that he was a bulkier variant and should have indicated that I would have ended up outspeeding him regardless. But I end up going for a Sucker Punch instead of a Brave Bird right here because I'm just too damn paranoid of the Sleep Powder, and because of that, I end up missing out barely on the kill with the Sucker Punch. Because of my paranoia and failure to scout what it was, and it just ends up in his victory. But it wasn't a bad game, just Roserade can be a somewhat versatile motherfucker in that aspect. It's got a lot of moves going on for it, and I don't know what it was, and that's what happens. But it was a 1-0 in his favor, and I didn't mind it at all. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that match. If you did, you are welcome to leave a like rating, comment, and subscribe, and do your thing. Various social media links, as I mentioned once again, will be in the description. You're welcome to check those out, and I think that should do it out of me, and I will see you guys. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna try to get some TCGO to you. Probably record a shit ton this weekend and maybe upload it during the week because I have not been uploading as much as I should have been. Sorry, I'll get some more eventually. Okay, bye.